Good morning. Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wrong. Good afternoon. So I've been asked to give a brief talk on leadership today with a practice component. And the aspect that I'm going to focus on today is essential to any kind of leadership role. So that means if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you are in fact the president, or you're a cop, or a doctor, or a project manager, or a coach, it really doesn't matter. All of them require you to pay attention. So what I'd like to begin with is first is a definition. Leadership is a relationship. Leadership is a relationship in which one person tries to get other people to do something. That means teacher, parent, president, cop, doctor, project manager, coach, all fit that definition. In fact, if you've ever tried to get someone else to do something, you've actually held a leadership role. And it's interesting to me because most people think of leadership as some sort of magic inherited trait. It is in fact not. It is a learned skill. Leadership is a relationship that grows from your behaviors, and of all of the behaviors that you can learn about in any number of great books on the topic, the most important behavior is listening. And in particular, listening for me is a label that means pay attention, which is really the title of the talk today. So as a leader, you must pay attention to the words and actions of other people. You must suspend your judgment long enough to allow your intellect to catch up with your instincts. So I'm going to do a little quick test to see if you are in fact paying attention. What is the average attention span of an adult human being? Anybody know? Yes, ma'am?
10 seconds.
10 seconds? Anybody else?
5 to 7.
5 to 7 seconds? Ooh, wow, it's not quite that bad, but it probably with all of our different forms of social media and watching my kids who are late teens, early 20s, they probably will end up being 5 seconds. Actually, the average attention span of an adult human is 20 seconds, which tells you why the short commercial form is 15 seconds. With practice, I'm going to make a promise, and when we're done today with this brief conversation, I'm going to guarantee you that you can make that 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, or longer if you like. So, why does this really matter? So, how many people here know what the percent of communication is verbal? Anybody know? Care to guess? Out loud, shout it. 7%, right on the money. 7% of communication is verbal, which means the rest of it is nonverbal, right? It's pace, it's tone, it's emotional energy, it's gestures, it's body language, it's twitches of the eye, it's wrinkles of the lip. If you're capable of listening for many minutes without interruption, without all this chitter-chatter in your head that's leading you astray on a regular basis, you can in fact clearly perceive the words and the emotions and the body language and all the tells of the people that are around you, which are in fact the most important components of what it's going to take for you to lead and convince someone else to do something. You need to know where their heads are at. Listening is in fact the most essential component, the most essential behavior for leadership. Now the irony is that our entire system of preparation to get you into a formal leadership role is all about competition. So from early childhood and then schooling and then in your first few career moves, everything is about rewarding for the right answer, the fastest, jumping the highest, running the fastest, whatever. This builds a really twitchy muscle memory in our fibers and causes us, in fact, to ignore the cues that are all around us in our environment and with the people around us because we're competing. We're not actually trained on a regular basis to listen and pay attention. And with all that noisy chaos, we're actually taught performance. We aren't being taught observation. But consider this. What baseball coach has ever won a game hitting a home run? 0. What football coach? Did Pete Carroll do the interception in the end zone to end the championship game before we got to the Super Bowl? No. He got someone else to do that. This is true for teachers too. What teacher actually learns for their pupils? No, the pupil has to do the work. So if you think about leadership in its classic terms, where you're actually getting some other people to do a job or to build a project or launch a company or launch a product, you might think that the answer is pick the right people and you're going to win. And you can read a lot of books about doing that. And I'm going to have to tell you, after 30 years of observation and practice, sorry, that doesn't work. No one coach, leader, anything has ever won any championship, has ever actually accomplished anything of substance by picking every perfect player on his or her team. So no CEO, no vice president, no manager, no executive director, no general, no captain, no school principal, no teacher, sorry, no coach, no cop, nobody, no parent especially, ever gets to pick the perfect people on their team. You get to deal with what you have right now. You can, in fact, add people to your team. You can replace people on your team. But right now, in this moment, you have to be incredibly good at paying attention, because what you have right now in front of you is what you have to work with. So one more point on the value of listening. As a leader, the instant you give your opinion, 2/3 of your team, and there's a lot of studies that show this is an astounding thing if you really measure it and watch it in front of you. When you speak, if you have a leadership title, 2/3 of your team has immediately stopped thinking and are waiting for instructions. Time and again, over the last 30 years, I have seen leaders speak their opinions much too soon and in the process lose creativity in the room. So, what do we do about this? It's time we talk about Moses. Were you ready for that? No. Moses goes up into the mountain. He encounters God, who gives him the law and asks Moses to present the law to the people down in the valley. So Moses goes back down, and things don't go so well, because while he was gone, the people came up with some other ideas. They came up with ideas of their own, and it took many arguments, some tragic deaths, and a lot of wandering around in the wilderness before the people finally came to agree that, in fact, the 2 stone tablets that Moses had with the law on it were, in fact, a really good idea. We should begin. And so they finally agreed on that just in time for Moses to die. Bummer for Moses. Moses is a very common leadership approach. It's almost always used. You find inspiration in a moment of solitude usually, and then you promote the vision to your team. So if the boss goes on vacation, he reads a book or takes a particularly hot shower one morning, and boom, she has an inspired moment. Excitedly, the leader returns to the team and says, "Woohoo, I have the idea." And the Moses wannabe then passionately attempts to convince the team of the merit of this idea. And since the boss is in fact declaring a grand vision with a lot of personality, force, and conviction, the team quietly ends the debate. It seems to the boss as if agreement has been reached, but in fact what happened is quiet acquiescence. And as soon as the boss leaves the room and the team begins to execute and the first real problem begins, doubt quickly overwhelms action. Poof, game over. So, look, Moses had help from God, okay? And he had trouble with this particular methodology. So if you follow the Moses model of coming up with the idea and declaring victory because you came up with the idea, you're going to be a lot like Moses, and I suggest you be careful. So, let's try something else. Let's flip it around. Let's talk about Socrates. He pursued truth through debate, and his approach emphasized the use of challenging questions to pierce insights into topics to attain useful truths. Now, if you use the Socrates model, you're asking questions, but you have to do that not just in the meetings, but you got to do it as every part of your day, everyday life. And that means you spend most of your time asking questions, not answering them. And that means in a group setting, calling on people and making sure that the person that hasn't spoken yet says something. Ask them, call them out. In the Socrates model, you suspend your opinion until the last reasonable moment. And if the discussion doesn't already lead to an agreed upon mission that you can buy into as well, generally speaking, the team is going to call on you to make a decision at that point in time. So then you can in fact impose your will because the team is pulling you into making a decision. Whereas in the Moses model, you are either explicitly or implicitly actually dictating a choice to the team. But again, I would suggest beware. If you only ask questions, you end up with nothing but swirl. It's usually referred to as analysis paralysis. So, in the end, what matters is the judgment. When are you Moses and when are you Socrates? The good news is that if you practice paying attention, not only will you be able to stay focused on the people and the opportunity in front of you, but it also hones your ability to make this judgment, because in the end, you actually have to listen to yourself. So, how do you actually practice listening? There are many, many techniques, and what I'm about to tell you today is not the technique. It's not the only technique by any means. It's just one that's worked really well for me and for quite a few other people. So our goal in this technique is to expand our average adult attention span of 20 seconds, and you are all really, really smart, great people, and I'm sure you're already well past 20 seconds. But let's get it to 10, 15, 20 minutes. Let's see if you can really get this place where you can be focused deliberately in the moment as long as you care to. So what we're going to do it right now. So everybody's eating. So what I want you to do is sit up straight. I see a lot of slouching. Oh, look at that. Instant response. I love it. Take a deep breath. Ignore the person around you because they don't matter. What matters is the stuff in front of you. So if you're holding a coffee cup or you are looking at your food, that's cool. Take a deep breath. Look at the food. Keep your eyes open and just breathe. Nothing else. Just breathe. There, that was about 30 seconds. Congratulations. So, what we're going to do now, you can continue to eat if you like, or you can stare at your cup or the piece of paper in front of you. But I do want you to sit up straight, and I want you to keep your eyes open, because practicing meditation with your eyes closed is not very helpful when you're running a business, or building a product, or driving a car, or riding a bicycle. You want to be awake. So this practice that we're going to do right now is a form of meditation that you can do anytime, including eating lunch. So here we go. Sit up straight, look at your food, or if you're not eating, just put your hands in your lap, relax, and look at the floor. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Again, take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Now on each in-breath, I want you to say in your mind, what is this? And on each out-breath, I want you to say in your mind, thank you. What is this? Thank you. What is this? Thank you. Okay, that's 60 seconds. Show of hands, how many people heard the people talking next door? How many people heard the music playing? How many people heard the traffic outside? How many people heard the rafter creaking right over our heads? Your mind is like a dog, a little rambunctious puppy. It likes to chase leaves blowing around in the wind. Traffic noise, people talking, someone sitting next to you eating, tweeting while you're meditating, whatever it is that's going on around you. Your left knee beginning to twitch, a scratch developing on your nose. All of those things are going to go on. If you do this long enough, you practice that exact form of meditation, 5 minutes, promise you, you're going to start thinking about things like, what do I have for breakfast? What am I doing later? What's the next event? God, this is really boring. All kinds of stuff's going to come to your head. And it doesn't take very long. It takes typically less than 60 seconds for your mind to go someplace else. And at some point in time in that practice, you are going to notice that you are not focused on, what is this? Thank you. You're somewhere else. And the instant you notice it like that, you have woken up from the dream that you're living constantly, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The state you're in right now is actually a dream state. And you wake up from it when you realize you're not paying attention. So the beauty of this simple, stupid practice is that you could actually say anything. You could say, Diet Coke, Coke Zero. Diet Coke, Coke Zero. Coffee, tea, doesn't matter. Now, I tricked you with those words because they're kind of pointing you in a direction, and they're nice words, and you can pick whatever words you like. What matters is that when you notice you are not paying attention to that, which is right in front of you with your eyes open, your consciousness goes like this and says, oops, no, I need to come back. And all you have to do is come back. And that is the muscle memory that you actually want to focus on developing. You've got plenty of performance muscle memory, I guarantee you. Whether you varsity lettered in school or not is irrelevant. I guarantee you your entire life has been about performance, competition, and winning. Something somewhere along the lines. You don't need to work on that. What you need to work on is wake up and where are you right now? And in this moment, the question that you really need to be asking yourself at every moment is, what is this right now? And if you recognize that in every instant of your life, what you've been given is a gift, then you say thank you and you do something with the gift. Right? It's that simple. And if you practice that, not only will you expand your ability to go from 20 seconds to 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 20 minutes to, hey, you can pay attention for half an hour. But you're also beginning to pay attention to how your mind works. At first, you're going to realize this puppy dog of yours, this brain of yours that likes to run around and chase leaves, is not very well behaved. But with this simple practice, what is this? Thank you. What is this? Thank you. Keep coming back to that. No judgment, no opinion, no wants, no worries, no bullshit. Just come back to right now. What is this? Thank you. Okay. With that practice, you begin instinctively to develop a judgment of what is needed right now. Is it Moses or Socrates? What can I do in this moment right now to make the most of what I have, this gift that I've been given, which is right now this group of people working on this project, or these particular family members having this particular argument, or if I'm a teacher, this particular group of pupils who half are learning and half are not learning so well. What do I do with this right now in this moment? That's the challenge for a leader. And then frankly, the truth is, we have to lead ourselves very well first, before we can ever have the hope of leading anybody else. The good news is you can practice this every day. You can do this in front of your lunch, your breakfast. You can do this before lunch, after lunch. You can do this in the morning when you wake up. You can do it as the last thing you do before you go to bed. Doesn't matter. But if you practice this and do this very simple breathing, slow down your breath. What is this? Thank you. What is this? Thank you. Let your mind wander. Let the puppy run around and then tell the puppy to heel and come back. Come back right now. What is this? Thank you. Do that, practice that, and flip every single assertion you make in your life into a question. So instead of saying, today is Monday, you say, what is today? Instead of saying, I love Vita Coco coconut water with apple, you say, what do you think of this drink? Flip every assertion that you have into a question everywhere you go, because what you want to practice is listening. And if you are just sharing your opinion, you are not listening. which means you're not paying attention. You want to practice paying attention? Practice your meditation for 5 minutes every single day. Pick your favorite time of the day and do it. And flip your assertions. Always said to me, within less than 2 weeks, it's changed my life. I can guarantee you that. You will never be the same if you do this. It's worth it. And it's frankly not very hard. So, the message today is listen carefully means pay attention. You must choose when you are Moses. You must choose when you are Socrates, which means you have to choose deliberately. Please do not be a creature of habit. Choose your action. Not today, not tomorrow, every moment. Can be done, is done, not hard to do at all. You just have to decide to do it. So here's my challenge. Nike says just do it, which is cool. It means go out and have the guts to go do something. But I'm going to tell you today, don't just do it. Choose it, and choose well. Have a great Spark weekend.